Okay, so today we're going to do solving systems of equations using matrices. All right, so there are two methods of using matrices to solve systems of equations. The first way is going to be by using inverse matrices. The second way is going to be using Cramer's rule. Today we're going to focus on how to solve systems using inverse matrices. All right, so there are only 3 steps to solving matrices by using the inverse. All right, so the first thing you want to do is write the system as a matrix equation. All right, we'll go over that a little bit later so you'll know what that means. All right, the second thing you want to do is find the inverse of the coefficient matrix. And then after you find the inverse of the coefficient matrix, the third thing to do is to multiply the solution by the matrix inverse. So you'll multiply the solution matrix by the inverse of the coefficient matrix. All right, so let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, so this is an example. All right, so we have two equations, 5x plus 4y equals negative 3, and 3x minus 5y equals negative 24. All right, so the first thing we want to do is write this matrix in equation form. All right, so you will separate it into two matrices. So you take what's on the left side of the equal sign and you separate it into two matrices. So the first thing you would do is take your coefficients. All right, so I have the coefficients of x right here, which is 5 and 3. And then I will also take my coefficients of y. So my coefficients of y would be positive 4, negative 5. All right, so that right there, those 4 numbers is going to be my coefficient matrix. All right, so notice here the 2 in red, 5 and 3, and then the 2 in blue here, which will be 4 and negative 5. All right, the next matrix is your variable matrix. All right, so I only have 2 variables. I have an x and I have a y. All right, so notice x comes first, y comes second. So that is why x is on the top, y is on the bottom. 1, 2. All right, you still have your equal sign in the middle. All right, and then you have what's called the solution matrix. So the solution matrix is just what it says. It's the solutions to those 2 equations. Oh, that didn't come out right. But anyway, so it's the solution to those 2 equations. All right, so negative 3 is on the top. So negative 3 is on the top on this one at the bottom. And then also number 24 is on the bottom. So number 24 is on the bottom here. So negative 3 on the top, negative 24 on the bottom, negative 3 on the top, negative 24 on the bottom. So notice the numbers are in the same places as they would normally appear. All right, so 5 and 3. 5 and 3, 4, negative 5, 4, negative 5, 3, 24, I'm sorry, negative 3, negative 24, negative 3, negative 24. So the numbers are in the same exact spots. The only thing is your variable matrix, you just have to know x comes in the front, y comes in the back. So x is on the top, y is on the bottom. All right, so step number 1 complete. I've taken my 2 equations and I've turned them into a matrix equation. All right, so now the next thing is going to be to find the inverse of the coefficient matrix. All right, so remember, coefficient matrix was 5, 4, 3, negative 5. All right, so last class period, we worked on finding the inverse. Okay, so there was a formula for finding the inverse of a matrix. All right, so it was this, a to the negative 1, remember that's the notation for inverse, is equal to 1 over a times d minus b times c. So just a reminder, AD minus BC is your determinant. So 1 over the determinant times this matrix, all right, which is D, opposite of B, opposite of C, A. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coefficient matrix, all right, and I'm going to substitute my variables into the formula to find the inverse. So let's recall, it goes like this, A, B, C, and D. All right, so now that I have labeled my matrix, I know how to actually substitute them into my equation. All right, so that would give me 1 over A, which is 5, times D, which is -5, minus B, which is 4, times 3, which is C. C is 3. All right, and then for the matrix, all right, D is first. D is the first element, so D is -5. The opposite of B is the second element, so opposite of +4 is -4. And then you have C. Opposite of +3 is -3. And then you have A, which is 5. All right, so now all I have to do is simplify this equation. All right, so 5 times -5 will give me -25. 4 times 3 will give me 12. All right, and then -25 minus 12 gives me -37. All right, so now once I get here and I have simplified this fraction, the last thing I need to do is take this fraction and multiply it by each element inside of this matrix. All right, so that's going to give me 1 over -37 times -5, 1 over -37 times -4, 1 over -37 times -3, and 1 over -37 times 5. Okay, and this is what I get when I multiply them. So -1 over 37 times -5 gives me positive 5 over 37. 1 over -37 times -4 is positive 4 over 37. Remember, negative times a negative is a positive. And then I have 1 over -37 times -3. Again, that is a positive number, and that will give me 3 over 37. And then I have 1 over -37 times 5, which is -5 over 37. All right, so there's my inverse matrix. All right, so now that I have my inverse matrix, the last step is to multiply it by the solution set. All right, so when I multiply it by the solution set, all right, I'm going to multiply it as such. All right, my inverse matrix goes in the front. My solution set matrix goes in the back. You have to multiply it by this because you have to multiply it like this, because if you try to multiply it the other way, you will not be able to do it. All right, so remember, if we want to multiply two matrices, we have to multiply where the number of columns on the first matches the number of rows on the second. So the first matrix is a 2 by 2. The second matrix is a 2 by 1, 2 rows by 1 column. All right, so remember, my numbers in the middle match, so that works. All right, let's say if this was the other way around, then I will be trying to multiply a 2 by 1 by a 2 by 2. Notice 1 and 2 don't match. All right, so I would not be able to multiply it with the solution set in the front. So just remember, when you multiply these, the inverse has to go in the front. Okay, so when we multiply, all right, we multiply rows by columns. All right, so I would do the first row. All right, so I'm going to do the first row, all right, by the first column. And we only have one column, so that's simple enough. All right, and then once I multiply that first row by the first column, the second thing I want to do is multiply the second row again by that same column. All right, so this is what that would look like. All right, so 5 over 37 times the first element, which is 3, plus 4 over 37, the second element, times 24, which will be the second element on that column. So 5 over 37 times 3 plus 4 over 37 times 24. All right, so that takes care of the first row by the first column, and then I will do the second one. So that will be 3 over 37 times 3 plus -5 over 37 times 24, like such, down here at the bottom. All right, so once I do that, now the rest that I have to do is simplify. So 5 over 37 times 3 will give me 15 over 37. 4 over 37 times 24 would give me 96 over 37. 3 over 37 times 3 would give me 9 over 37. Negative 5 over 37 times 24 will give me negative 120 over 37. All right, so I will simplify a little bit more by adding and subtracting. So 15 plus 96 gives me 111. So remember, when we add fractions, the denominator stays the same, so 37 does not change. And then I have 9 minus 120, which is negative 111. All right, and so again, denominator stays the same. All right, only thing I have to do now is divide. So I have 111 divided by 37, which is 3. And then negative 111 divided by 37, which is negative 3. All right, and now I have my solution set. Remember, these are equal matrices. So this top number here is equal to this top number here. And then this bottom number here is equal to this bottom number here. So my solution set is 3, negative 3. X is 3, Y is negative 3. All right, so I'm going to let you try some on your own. If you open up your Google Classroom, you should see your class assignment for today. You are going to do numbers 1 through 7. All right, be sure to show all of your work. And once you have completed it, take a picture of it and upload it to Google Classroom when you turn it in. All right. Thank you.